The Hummingbird Cafe was one of those few Leithonian establishments that boasted a long tenure, aided mostly by the fact that they had surrendered to Arian rule almost the very day it had been declared. As an outsider, Cavar didn't feel qualified to judge their behavior, but the shop had flourished since the occupation, becoming a favorite of the citizens of the Imperial quarter. And the coffee was quite good. It was worth the glare his companion shot him as he stood underneath an awning just outside the shop, sipping at the paper cup he'd bought to go. Outside, dusk was falling over the city. The thin sliver of sky visible through the gaps in the rooftops painted with orange and violet and gold. At street level, the shadows were deep enough that the lamps had been lit, dappling the narrow streets in alternating swaths of light and shadow. An island city-state, Leithon hadn't had much room to expand outward, not without trampling over what little farmland they had. So over the centuries, the city had expanded up. It became a maze of looming buildings and narrow streets, divided by two large thoroughfares. The Road of Law, which led from the docks at the southern end of the city to the Bastion, the enormous stone complex at the north of the city that was the seat of government and military power, and the Road of Shadows, the east-west thoroughfare that led from the land gate to what was left of the spire. Outside of those roads, whether poor area or Imperial quarter, the view from the street was mostly the same. Tall buildings of varying degrees of finery, stretching up and up until only the faintest gleam of sky could be seen from between them. Rooftops crisscrossed by rickety-looking bridges that only the very brave or the very foolish used and everyone else avoided. In Leithon, even before the occupation, it was a generally held truth that respectable business only occurred close to the ground. But Cavar wasn't interested in respectable business, and he'd had a tip from a reliable source that if he kept his eyes turned skyward, he might find something worth seeing. "I don't understand why we're here," his companion remarked, leaning against the wall beside him and folding her arms across her chest.